here's how you navigate tough conversations with confidence. Today, we have a nation that is still divided. We have a world that is also divided throughout the globe. So how do you have conversations with people that may hold very, very different points of view than your own? You know what? There's one secret to it, and that is good listening. You know, a lot of people think that broadcasting your ideas is what you need to do. And if you broadcast them clearly, everybody is going to slap their forehead and say, oh my God, you're absolutely right. Well, not so much these days, right? There's all kinds of conflicts that are coming up. Governmental policies, social regulations, values, many questions that people are really wanting to argue about and, put forth their point of view. And the problem with that is that when somebody else is speaking to us about their points of view that are very different than ours, guess what? A lot of us in our heads are simply conjuring up rebuttals, right? We're not really listening with our open heart and open mind to what the other person is saying. So one of the very first things you can do when a person is presenting their point of view is ask questions, big open questions, in order to understand their point of view at a much deeper level. That comes first. And the questions can be ones like, so how did you arrive at this conclusion? Do you think your own history had something to do with formulating these values? Is there something in your spirituality, your practice, that has something to do with your own thoughts? Help me understand your thoughts. Tell me more. Sometimes just tell me more is wonderful, because then people feel like, hey, my listener is really interested in what I have to say. And you know what that does? It removes the hostility from the discussion. The other thing that it does is it creates more goodwill by the person who's speaking, so that when it's your turn to speak, they're going to be a much better listener for you. And you too can answer some of the questions in terms of helping the other person understand your point of view just more clearly, more deeply, where these ideas come from. When we really get what the other person is saying, even if it's something that we totally disagree with, the other thing that's really important that creates greater connection in these conversations is to say this. You know what? From where you're standing, I can see why you would think that way. Now, that may be a very hard thing to say when you're polar opposites in your points of view. So it takes a real stretch. You have to stretch your own ego out there, get it out of the way, and try to really feel what that other person is saying, so that you get why they're so angry, or you get why they disagree with some particular idea. You get it from their shoes, and you tell them that. Now, that doesn't mean you agree with them. You can totally disagree. However, when you step out of your own shoes and into theirs, that may give you a little more insight into where they are coming from. And boy, do they appreciate that. People just want to be known, and they want to be listened to. And you can be a channel for that. And then in turn, what you're bringing into the conversation is more empathy, more compassionate understanding, more validation, and more good feelings, so that the conversation becomes a way of really connecting. It's a passageway between the two of you, even when you're coming from opposite poles, the North Pole and the South Pole. You're meeting somewhere in the middle, I guess the equator, right? So give it a try. Ask questions, nice open questions, not ones that disprove your partner, but instead questions that help you understand where they're coming from. And then give a little bit of validation. Like, from your point of view, I get it. And I bet you'll have a much, much friendlier, kinder conversation.